Hello, and welcome back to my channel where we make life happen for us instead of to us, and I talk about how we can do that. And I am showing my face today. I usually don't at all because I need to be looking at the words on the screen in order to remain coherent, and I think that could be distracting, but if you think if you're okay with it, let me know and I'll keep doing this. Otherwise, I will go back to the previous visuals. Moving on. So I think that um, a very important way for us to reach our goals and to get the life that we want is to focus on it. And our lack of focus may be the reason that we're not getting what we want. And I'll explain. Okay. So let's say that you know what you want, right? Like you know the life you want to live, you know the goals that you have, you know the goals that you have that you want to reach this year. Okay. But are you focusing on that every day? Or are you complaining about, all the things going on in your life that you want to change? Are you thinking about all the things that need to change in your life? Because here's the thing. If we keep complaining, or keep putting attention on the things that we don't like about our life, we're going to keep getting more of that, right? Like, I'm not saying don't complain because life is hard, right? And sometimes sometimes it's important for us to like complain and to talk about that, right? But once we have complained, we need to realign ourselves with the thing or the things that we want, because the more we focus on the things that we don't want, the more we get the things that we don't want, right? Like, since we are focused in that direction, that's the direction that we're going to go in. And we can't successfully go in a direction that we aren't focused on. And I talked about this in some of my previous videos, but when we make an emotional connection with something, whether like a good emotion, bad emotion, when we make any emotional connection with something, our brain pays more attention to it, right? And this is why negative experiences tend to stand out to us more than the positive ones, because negative experiences are painful, right? And that pain causes us to feel very strong emotions. And when we are complaining or when we are like talking about the things in our life that need to change, we are giving more attention to that. And a lot of negative emotions are going to come up, which will then make our brain pay more attention to it and focus on it even more. But is that something that you want? I mean, I know it's not something that I want, right? Which is why I'm talking about this. So if you don't want the way things are happening now to keep happening, right? If you don't want the things that you're complaining about or talking about to keep happening, then, just realign your focus. Give more focus or give more attention to the things that you do want. And I'm not saying to ignore things either, right? Like, I just mean that, okay, let's say you notice something happen, and this thing that is happening is clearly not what you want. This is what I mean here is you notice it, but then you pause and you think to yourself, is this actually what I want? No? Okay, then let me stop thinking about this or focusing on it like this, and let me focus on what I do want. So, in order to do this, I want to talk about two ways. Two ways that I have used. Okay, two ways that I have used to help me focus on or pay more attention to the things that I want. So, the first way is for us to remind ourselves of what we want, right? And remind ourselves a lot. So you can do this in any way that works for you. You can set an alarm on your phone, right? And it goes off every so often to remind you to focus on your goals. It could be setting a designated time frame where you focus in that time frame every day. You focus on your goals or focus on the things that you want. But the point is that you want to remind yourself often of what you want, right? If you take nothing else from this video, I do want you to take this, that if you say you want something, it needs to be top of mind for you, right? Like you really need to be thinking about it often. And like not thinking about what you don't want, right? Not thinking about changing your situation. You need to be constantly thinking about what you do want. And I will give an example later on that'll help demonstrate this a little better. Okay. Now, the second way for us to give our attention more to the things that we want is by visualizing what we want, right? So, like thinking about what it would be like if we got what we want. And if it helps, thinking about all the different possible ways that we can get what we want, right? And if you need help, opening up your mind here about like all the different possible ways you can get what you want. Something that you can do, something that I've done, is looked at people who have gotten the thing that I want and imagining that scenario for myself, right? So let's say that you want your body to look a particular way. Okay. So this could be like imagining yourself working out. This could be imagining people saying good things about your body. This could be imagining yourself fitting in a particular outfit, or imagining yourself doing something that you would feel more comfortable doing if you had the body that you wanted. Let's say if you want a house, it could be like imagining yourself moving into the house, or imagining yourself fixing up the house, stuff like that. And I do want to mention here very quickly before I move on that as long as you keep focusing on what you want, you will get what you want, right? And I feel like I have to mention this because I think that some people, like me, I'll speak for myself, okay? Sometimes I feel like what tripped me up is that when I would think about visualizing what I wanted, I would think like it's stupid. Like I'm like, oh, there's no point in me visualizing this. There's no point in me thinking about this because it's never gonna happen. Like I'm just gonna be thinking about it and nothing is gonna go nowhere. Nothing has changed in the past. Like, but the thing is that it's not stupid, right? It's not a futile. It's not an exercise in futility, right? Like it's like if you are walking straight, okay, and you turn your head right, you turn your eyes right, and you keep walking, eventually you're going to end up walking to the right, right? Because your eyes are focused in that direction, your attention is focused in that direction, right? So it's the same in terms of your brain here. Like, this is why I'm saying you will get to your goal, because if you keep focused on it, you will have no choice but to get there, because that's the direction that you will start to go in, even without you consciously realizing it. Like, as I mentioned, you're looking at the right and you're walking straight. All of a sudden, you're going to end up on the right because that's the direction that you're looking in. So as long as you keep focused on the things that you do want and the life that you do want to live, it will happen for you. Now, going back to what I was saying about visualization, I think it may also be very helpful. I was going to say helpful, but no, very helpful. I think it would also be very helpful to visualize also the feeling of getting what you want, right? So not just thinking about a scenario of you having the thing you want, but thinking about it in such a way that you start to feel what it would feel like if you got what you wanted. And again, you want to create an emotional connection with it, right? Because it'll cause your brain to pay more attention to it. And, the more you do that, the more you're paying attention to it, it helps your subconscious understand that, oh, this is the thing that you want. And then what your subconscious will do is your subconscious will find ways to prove that what you're telling it is true. So like, you're focusing on the things that you want, and then all of a sudden you'll notice you'll start to get these ideas. and that'll help you get to the thing that you want, or you'll start to notice opportunities that you maybe wouldn't have noticed before in order to help you get the thing that you want. Now, I want to give an example. I promised an example. And I want to give an example that I think will help tie these two things together. This may be a bad example, but we're going to run with it. Okay. So let's say that I have a car and my car sucks and I want a new one. That's what I want. What I want is a new car. Now, every time I go in my car or drive my car, I start to think about all of the issues with it. Like, I'm driving the car, I'm thinking about how bad it feels when I drive it, how I don't like the seats, the brakes are too squeaky, something's always wrong with it. Like, I look at the dashboard, the engine lights on, and I'm like, oh, this is exactly why I need a new car, right? And, the whole time I'm driving, I'm frustrated that I'm like, I need a new car because there's so many problems with this one. Okay, so now I go home and I'm on the phone with a friend and they ask me what I want to achieve this year. And I say, well, I want to get a new car this year because this and this and that is wrong with the car. And then I go on for at least like 5 minutes talking about like how the car is a money pit and I need to get a new car and this is wrong with the car and this is how it makes me feel, etc., etc. Okay. And then let's say like a couple days later, I say to myself, I want a new car, right? Like I'm saying it to myself, I want a new car. So I go online and I look up how much another car would cost. And then now I'm feeling frustrated because I'm seeing all these prices and I'm like, I can't afford this. Like that these cars are all out of my budget and the ones that are in my budget, like it's going to be the same thing. So it doesn't make sense that I get another car, or like I'm not going to be able to afford a car till, next year, the year after, what have you, because I can't afford these prices. Okay. So now that you've heard this long example, at what point in this example did I actually focus on getting a new car? Like, if you notice, what I actually focused on was all of the things I didn't want, right? Like, I kept saying I wanted a new car, but all I kept thinking about was like how crappy the car I had was and what was wrong with it, and that I couldn't afford anything better, right? That is not focused on getting a new car. Although I said I wanted a new car, all I paid attention to were all the reasons that my current car sucked as to why I wanted a new one. Like, I wasn't actually paying attention to what I wanted. I mainly paid attention to all the things I didn't want, and then the negative emotions came up resulting from me thinking about and paying attention to what I didn't want. And then as a result of all of that, all I saw was more of what I didn't want, right? So if I were to instead focus on what I wanted, you know, by constantly thinking about what I wanted and visualizing me having what I wanted and having emotions, right, resulting from me thinking about what I wanted, then eventually I would have gotten it. Because that's just how our brains work, right? Like my brain would end up finding opportunities for me to get a new car. Like maybe the brand of car I wanted would be out of my budget. But because I'm constantly thinking about what I want and thinking about having a new car, maybe I'll start to look at other brands and maybe those brands might be more affordable to me. It's just like when I bought a house, right? So if you've watched some of my earlier videos, you'll know that I bought a house. And I said I had wanted to buy a house, but the issue I ran into, I guess, was that the houses in my province were prohibitively expensive, very expensive, for no reason. But guess what? I still bought a house. In fact, what I specifically said was I wanted to buy a house and have no mortgage. So this is paying for the full thing up front. And obviously you cannot do that in Ontario. That you have to have a lot of money to do that, and I did not have that. But guess what? I bought a house and had no mortgage, right? Because I was focused on buying a house, right? I wasn't focused on like how I'd never be able to afford one. I was focused on buying a house. So I ended up looking for places where houses were more affordable. And, I ended up buying a house, a cute house in a cute little town within my budget. So that would have never happened if I was paying attention to all the things I didn't want instead of all the things I did want. So, in order for us to meet our goals or live life on our terms, we need to be focused on that, right? Like focusing in on what we do want. Not on all the ways that things won't go right or aren't going right. Not on all the things that we wish we could change, but literally focusing on or giving attention to what we actually do want. And this is accomplished by constantly reminding ourselves of what we want and visualizing what we want. And also, it is helpful to visualize what we want in terms of also feeling what it's like to have what we want. And when we do that, when we are focused on what we want, it is inevitable that we will get it. Because since we're paying so much attention to it, our brains will start to notice opportunities to make that thing true for us. So that is it. I hope that this video gave you some helpful, actionable information about how you can use your focus or your attention to get the life that you want. If you found this helpful, leave a comment. Let me know. And if you find the things that I'm saying encouraging or helpful, I think you'll also like joining my free newsletter. It'll be in the description. Free newsletters on my site. The link will be in the description. So you can get this type of encouragement straight to your inbox. Or if you don't want to listen to me, you can just get the words straight to your inbox. Okay, so thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Or maybe you'll see me. All right, yeah, so if you're still here, thank you again for watching. Yeah, as I mentioned, did I mention this? I literally recorded this like, I don't know how many times. But I haven't gone on camera. Yes, it's because I need to like look at the words and I find it distracting, but also like I gained weight and I was really self-conscious about that, so I didn't want to come on camera. But I don't know, I was feeling myself. I had like some makeup on, my hair did and everything. Hair did, hair on. Um, and I felt really pretty. So I wanted to just come on and record. Anyway, yeah, catch you in the next one.